Do you want to know how to take an old board like this and turn it into a beautiful vertical sign for your holiday front door? Watch now and I'll show you how easy it is. Hi, I'm Carol from Designer Stencils, and today I'm going to be taking the sign that I made last week. I don't know if you saw it, but remember the one I did the welcome on, and I did a stain, a gray stain on the board? Well, now we're going to do the back side. This is an old piece of flooring, and so it has probably polyurethane wood here. So I'm going to use chalk paint, because the great thing about chalk paint is you do not have to sand before you put it on. I like to use farmhouse paints. I got turned on to this a couple of years ago when I wanted to paint a couple of chairs in my house, and I really didn't want to have to go and do the sanding. So I bought some at a local store, and I was converted right then and there. I absolutely love the stuff. In fact, it turned out I was at a Pinners conference in Atlanta this spring. I ran into an old faux finishing friend of mine, Susie, and she's the manufacturer of this. So it's fantastic. What's great about it, it already has the wax in it. So you don't have that final step. You're putting this in there, paint it on there. Once you buff it up, the wax makes a nice sheen to it. So you don't have that final extra step of having to apply the wax unless you want to kind of put a stain on first. I mean, you could do that too. So I'm going to take my chalk paint, shake it up. And this color is oh so red. The reason why I'm doing this is we're going to make a sign. In fact, we just designed the stencil yesterday, not even on our website yet. Got to do that on Monday. It's going to be, oops, Happy Holidays. In fact, I'm doing this one for my daughter, Emily. She saw the welcome sign that I did on the other side and was like, oh, I want that for my apartment. But she wants something on the back side for the holidays. And that's why we're gonna go ahead and paint it this nice bright red, as you can see here. And it's probably gonna take a couple of coats. But what's nice about this, like I said, no prep work, just paint it on there. So I'll see you when I get this done. Here I've put one coat of my chalk paint, and it would be fine because it has a nice kind of distressed or antique look right now because it had that wood grain, stained wood grain behind it. But there were some holes from when it was screwed down as flooring, and I filled them with putty, and they were white. So I want to put two coats on this one, just so I have a nice solid base that I'm working with. So back to the second coat. Now that my board is dry, it's time to put the stencil on. So it comes in two pieces so that it's easy to store away, because you never know from year to year, based on your weathering, whether you want to put this on and spruce it up at the end of the season or when you pull it out for the next year. And I am going to put the two pieces, let's see, I'm going to actually put the Happy Holidays a little bit towards the top of my board, because my board is actually longer than the 40 inches that the stencil is. But I also want to be able to put a planter at the bottom, or at least if it goes to Emily's house, who knows, I might keep it myself. But this way the lettering is towards the top, have a little bit of extra space at the bottom in case I want to put a planter or something there. And here in the middle where the two stencils meet up, I am going to take some of my painter's tape and go right across that line, because when I'm putting my paint down with my stencil brush, I don't want any of it to seep through. So I'm going to make sure I don't cover up any of that snowflake there. See? Move that out of the way so you can see. And then since this is a freshly painted board, I'm going to lightly tack the stencil down to it. And even though I have blue painter's tape, which isn't that tacky, I like to take it and put it on your clothing and then pull it off. It removes some of the excess tack there, and that way I'm not going to be pulling up some of the red paint since I haven't given it 4 hours to cure. So we're going to put some pieces of tape lightly to hold my stencil down. And now I'm going to take my color and I'm going to use parchment. Rub and rub it into the bristles here. You're working the paint up in there. It's just storing it for later. And then, especially the first time that I go, before I even attempt to go to my stencil, I dab it off on a paper towel. That way I know that my brush is ready. And then my little trick of dabbing it on the back of my hand. See, hardly any came out. So I know that I'm ready to go. It may not be enough paint, but I'd rather start that way, and I can always add more if I need it. Now I have my happy holiday sign. What I think I'm going to do now is I want to let my red cure for 4 hours. Then I need to sand it so it actually will bring the wax out in the chalk paint. So we're going to go ahead and let this dry. But before I do is I'm going to take the stencil and I'm going to use some of the snowflakes. And since my board is bigger than the stencil itself, I'm going to fill in some of these other areas with some extra snowflakes. I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm going to sand this down. See how nice and smooth that is now? The sanding really does buff up the wax that's already in the chalk paint. Now, I learned about faux effects products when I was faux finishing over 20 years ago, and I still love their products. One of the main things I really do like of theirs is their stain and seal. I can make faux wood plank floors with it. I use it for staining raw wood, and I also like to use it for antiquing. Now here, you can see in the bucket, there's just a little bit left in there. I've thinned it out some, so it's more of a wash. What's nice about it, water-based, so you can use a rag to kind of even it out. And we're gonna go towards the middle here so you can see. We're just gonna take our stain and rub it all over the board. So we antiqued the whole board, just like I showed you. And we realized that we weren't so keen on the off-white letters being so tea-stained or antiqued. We wanted to brighten them up a little bit. So this is what I'm gonna do. We're taking the stencil and we put it back on top of where we had put the letters before. But now we're just doing a light coat of the parchment colored pattern, and see what a difference. Here it is with the stain on top of it, and here it is with the extra coat just on the stencil letters. We really like how the stain cut that bright red, but we wanted the letters to kind of pop a little bit more. So we're adding the stencil back in. Now, take a look at this. Doesn't that look fantastic? The letters pop just a little bit more than they did when they were antiqued, and the red cherry red color that we had before is just toned down a little bit with the antiquing stain. So I think Emily's gonna like it a lot. If you like this video, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that you can learn all the other things that we're gonna be teaching you this fall. Have a good day.